Next session, make every roll public. Every roll. Drop your dice right in the face of your players. No doubts, no possible fudging, no takebacks. For the majority of my DMing career, which is somehow going on 10 years now, Jesus. For the majority of it, though, I've rolled in the middle of the table for everyone to see. Why? Well, part of the reason why is to get total trust in my players. Trust that this part of the game, the dice I roll, are genuine. Whether or not a DM should fudge their rolls, it's a tired debate. I'm not interested in making an argument about it. Both sides have merit. It's a personal opinion thing. Do whatever you want. I trust your judgment in running your game. But to explain why I do this, I do need to talk about my position on the subject. I sit pretty firmly in the camp of not fudging dice, obviously. It's kind of hard to lie about what a die roll is when the players are all staring the number down. Because not fudging your dice is one thing, but when you're rolling publicly, when you literally can't do it, there is no room for doubt at the table. And I like that. I've been at tables with players who cheat, and I've been at tables with DMs who fudge a little bit, and DMs who fudge a lot. Like a lot. And often, I find people aren't as good at hiding their faint die rolls as they might think they are, myself included. Seriously, I think that's a big reason why I stopped. I'm not very good at it. But even still, if you are good at it, no matter how hard you try, players will know sometimes. And I noticed that slowly, over time, parts of the game started to feel off. The room tone would change during most of combat with these groups. Things felt void of any real emotion or weight. The big moments didn't feel so big. And I think a lot of that came from people knowing that their die rolls might not matter. If a player knows that their DM will bail them out of a bad situation, or worse, punish them despite good play, it can be a lot harder to get invested in your own decisions. If too much of the game is simply up to the GM's opinion, that can make a player's pull on the story feel a little moot. That's probably drastically put. I am in part talking about tables where fudging was abused. There's tons of nuance and exceptions here. But it's a general feeling I've had, even when fudging is handled more conservatively. I used to think I could curate a better experience for my players if I changed outcomes to suit what I thought was most interesting and rewarding for them, even if I used that power very sparingly. But it paled in comparison to just letting whatever happens, happen. Turns out, I don't always know best. Our perspectives and opinions can mislead us. By putting my bias aside and letting die rolls create an objective outcome for us all to have to accept and move forward with, my opinions carry less weight at the table, and that naturally gives more weight to the others at the table. If the players made good decisions, the odds are gonna be in their favor, and if they didn't, then they won't. This is not to say that I don't do things to manipulate the game. I do. D&D has tons of moving parts, some of which we choose to mess with, and some of which we don't. I decided die rolls are a fixed point in my games because I think some things should be a constant that you can rely on, and I like the benefits that come with treating them like a fairly strict game mechanic. But there are still plenty of tools I can use to pull the game away from fumbling into unfun territory. Rolling in the open does have the very real consequence of a random chance creating an unfun experience sometimes. My players can do everything right, get all the odds in their favor, and still get screwed over by some unlucky rolls from me, which sucks. It is an experience I open up my tables to having. But I find it's a very uncommon one. I mean, for one, if the players did everything right, then the odds are in their favor, of course. Statistically speaking, they're going to succeed. And also, by changing things like monster stats behind the screens, or NPC behavior, like who the monsters choose to target, I can still get the job done. At the end of the day, my hand is on the wheel. But I think the game feels less in my hands, especially to the players, and that objectivity feels nice. While I'm still an authority at the table, of course, I'm less of one, and less adversarial, naturally. Public rolling has broken down one of those barriers to making players realize that I'm not against them, that we're working together to make a story happen. I want them to succeed, despite the fact that I keep putting obstacles up. I'm not saying this is how you should run your games. I'm not even saying that I think this will make most tables games better. I'm just saying that I really like it. and I'm explaining why I choose to run the game this way. All I want you to do is, if this sounds interesting, try it out once or twice. Run a session or two this way. And not just my style of play, but any style of play that's new to you. Anything you hear about that makes you curious but unsure. I want you to push yourself to run the game unlike you ever would, so that you can see it in a new light, to see what this new angle teaches you. You don't learn things by repeating patterns without change, so change it up. Learn. While I continue to roll publicly because of all of these reasons I've stated, I actually didn't think of the majority of these positives until after I saw the results. The biggest reason I started to do it was just pure curiosity. That's it. It wasn't some big brain plan to try and fix everything. I heard about the concept early on when I was learning how to DM from a Matt Colville video, and I thought it sounded weird but cool. I didn't follow up on that though. I just kind of let that curiosity die. I didn't try it until years later. And I wish I had followed up on that curiosity, because if I had just done it for the sake of it, I would have learned some things a lot sooner. If you don't like running combat, that's totally fine. But why don't you like it? Do you know? Have you tried different approaches? It's easy for us to hear something and say, that's not for me. And you might be right. But things can change once we start to actually apply them. There might be a way of running combat that makes you fall in love. Don't shy away from putting new stuff to the test. If you can set up a session or two to run a dungeon crawl, do it. Tell your players what you're doing and why first, of course, but still, actually do it and enter that game with a mindset to try and learn something from the other side. All of this game, and I mean all of this game, is subjective, as what we find fun is subjective. Any way you choose to run it is going to have positives and negatives. To find the balance you like, you've got to try things out. So, I'm going to push myself to run my next session in a completely different way and see if I don't learn something new. I might pick up a trait that I keep with me for life. Who knows? I encourage you to do the same.